The doctors diagnosed the cancer quite early, and I'm fortunate to be recovering well. Sanaa Lathan, the actress celebrated for her roles in romantic films and dramatic works, explained. I decided immediately to have surgery. It was a major operation, she added. Why surgery? Because she didn't want chemotherapy. And ultimately, the surgery was successful. Things became a bit more complicated for Sanaa Lathan, who, upon returning to Los Angeles, felt something wasn't right. I woke up in the morning feeling slightly uncomfortable. As the day went on, the pain became worse. It was quite a strange experience. However, complications arose, and eventually, a routine endoscopy resolved the issue. To understand Sanaa Lathan's journey, one must first appreciate the artistic lineage from which she emerged. Born on September 19, 1971, in New York City, Sanaa entered a world already immersed in the performing arts. Her father, Stan Lathan, is a renowned television and film director whose credits include groundbreaking work on Sanford and Son, The Steve Harvey Show, and numerous comedy specials. Her mother, Eleanor McCoy, was a dancer and actress who performed on Broadway, bringing grace and discipline to the household. This creative pedigree might suggest an easy path to stardom, but Sanaa's journey proved far more complex and challenging than her background would imply. Growing up in both New York and Los Angeles, she witnessed firsthand the instability and uncertainty that characterized careers in entertainment. Her parents' marriage ended in divorce when she was young, a painful experience that shaped her understanding of relationships and the difficulty of balancing personal life with professional ambition. Despite her father's success in the industry, Sanaa didn't simply leverage connections to launch her career. In fact, she initially resisted acting altogether, recognizing the challenges and heartbreak the profession could bring. After graduating from the Manhattan Center for Science and Mathematics, she attended the University of California, Berkeley, where she earned a degree in English. This academic achievement reflected her intellectual depth and suggested paths beyond performance. However, the pull of the stage proved irresistible. Sanaa enrolled in the Yale School of Drama, one of the most prestigious acting programs in the world, where she earned her Master of Fine Arts degree. The Yale program was rigorous and demanding, pushing students to their physical and emotional limits. Sanaa has spoken about the intensity of those years, the constant critique, the competition among talented peers, the grueling schedule of classes, rehearsals, and performances. At Yale, Sanaa honed her craft with classical training, studying everything from Shakespeare to contemporary drama, movement to voice work. She learned to access deep emotional wells, to transform herself physically and psychologically for roles, to maintain stamina through long rehearsal processes and demanding performances. This foundation would prove essential throughout her career, providing technical skills and emotional resources that separated truly accomplished actors from merely talented ones. Yet even with a Yale MFA, breaking into professional acting proved extraordinarily difficult. Sanaa spent years after graduation auditioning for roles, facing rejection, taking whatever work she could find. The early 1990s offered limited opportunities for Black actresses, particularly those like Sanaa, who possessed classical training and serious dramatic ambitions. Hollywood remained largely uninterested in complex, nuanced portrayals of Black women, preferring stereotypes or relegating Black actresses to supporting roles. Sanaa Lathan's professional career began in theater, where she could find meatier roles than Hollywood typically offered Black actresses. She performed in productions across the country, earning modest pay and critical recognition while building her craft. Theater work was artistically fulfilling but financially precarious. Sanaa has described living paycheck to paycheck, sharing apartments with roommates well into her 20s, wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake in pursuing acting. Her television career began with small roles in shows like In the House, 1995 to 1996, where, ironically, her father served as director and executive producer. While some might see this as nepotism, Sanaa has noted that working with her father actually increased pressure, She felt she had to prove she deserved the role on merit, that she wasn't simply being handed opportunities because of family connections. Film roles came slowly. She appeared in Drive, 1997, Blade, 1998, and The Wood, 1999, each role small but allowing her to demonstrate her screen presence and range. Directors and casting agents began to notice her, not just her striking beauty, but her intelligence, her ability to convey complex emotions with subtlety, her grounded authenticity that made even minor characters memorable. The challenge Sanaa faced, and one that would persist throughout her career, was the limited range of roles available to Black actresses. Hollywood's imagination regarding Black women remained constrained by stereotypes. The sassy best friend, the long-suffering mother, the hypersexualized temptress, the angry Black woman. Roles that showcased intellectual depth, professional achievement, romantic complexity, or nuanced interior lives remained rare. Sanaa repeatedly turned down roles that reinforced stereotypes, even when doing so meant financial hardship. She has spoken about the frustration of auditioning for parts that reduced Black women to caricatures, of reading scripts where Black female characters existed only to serve white protagonists' narratives, of being asked to play urban or street characters that bore no relationship to her own experience or the experiences of the Black women she knew. This principled stance came at a cost. Roles went to actresses willing to accept limiting parts. Agents questioned whether Sanaa's selectivity was realistic, given industry realities. Financial pressure mounted as she approached her 30s, without the steady work or recognition she'd hoped for after Yale. Self-doubt crept in during difficult periods. Perhaps she was being too selective, too idealistic. Perhaps she should just take whatever work was offered and be grateful. The role that changed everything came in 2000 with Love and Basketball, Gina Prince Bythewood's critically acclaimed romantic drama. Cast as Monica Wright, a talented basketball player navigating ambition, love, and identity, Sanaa finally had the kind of substantive, complex role she'd been seeking. Monica was athletic, driven, vulnerable, flawed, romantic, and deeply human. A fully realized character whose Blackness was essential to her identity but didn't define or limit her characterization. Sanaa threw herself into the role with intensity that both impressed and concerned her collaborators. She trained extensively for the basketball sequences, determined that they would look authentic rather than like an actress awkwardly mimicking athletics. She worked with professional trainers, practiced constantly, and pushed her body to limits that resulted in injuries and exhaustion. Her commitment showed on screen. The basketball scenes in Love and Basketball remain some of the most authentic athletic sequences in sports film history. More importantly, Sanaa brought extraordinary emotional depth to Monica's journey. The film spans from childhood through young adulthood, tracking Monica's relationship with Quincy, Omar Epps, through years of friendship, romance, estrangement, and ultimate reunion. Sanaa navigated these emotional shifts with nuance and authenticity, creating a character audiences genuinely cared about. Her performance earned widespread critical acclaim and established her as a serious, dramatic actress capable of carrying a film. Love and Basketball was a commercial success, earning over $27 million domestically on a modest budget. But more significantly, it became a cultural touchstone, particularly within the Black community. Here was a film that centered Black love, Black ambition, and Black family dynamics, without white mediation or explanation. Monica and Quincy's relationship was allowed to be complex, messy, real. Not a simplistic romance, but a genuine exploration of how two ambitious people navigate love and individual dreams. For Sanaa, the film's success was validating, but also created new pressures. She was suddenly in demand, offered numerous roles, but many were simply variations on Monica, the romantic leading lady in films targeting Black audiences. While grateful for opportunities, Sanaa recognized the danger of being typecast, of becoming known exclusively for romantic roles rather than demonstrating her full range. Following Love and Basketball, Sanaa became Hollywood's go-to actress for romantic films featuring black leads. She starred in Brown Sugar, 2002, opposite Taye Diggs, playing a music journalist whose friendship with a record executive evolves into romance. The film was successful, and Sanaa's chemistry with Diggs was palpable, but it reinforced her association with romantic comedies and dramas. This trajectory was both blessing and curse. On one hand, these roles allowed Sanaa to work consistently, earn decent money, and reach audiences who loved seeing themselves reflected in romantic narratives typically reserved for white actors. Black audiences, particularly black women, embraced Sanaa as a romantic icon. Beautiful, intelligent, accomplished, yet vulnerable and relatable. She became the kind of actress whose presence in a film signaled quality, authenticity, and genuine romantic chemistry. On the other hand, the constant romantic roles limited Sanaa's ability to showcase other aspects of her talent. She longed for dramatic roles, for characters dealing with moral complexity, for stories that challenged audiences rather than simply providing romantic escapism. The industry's tendency to typecast black actresses was nothing new, but experiencing it firsthand was frustrating for someone of Sanaa's training and range. Moreover, the black rom-com genre, while popular with black audiences, received limited support from studios in terms of marketing budgets, wide theatrical releases, and awards consideration. Films Sanaa starred in might be commercially successful within their target demographic, but were largely ignored by mainstream critics and awards bodies. This marginalization meant that despite consistent work and popularity, Sanaa remained under-recognized by the industry establishment. Determined to demonstrate her dramatic range, Sanaa pursued roles in thrillers and dramas alongside her romantic work. Out of Time, 2003, in which she starred opposite Denzel Washington, was a critical step in this direction. Playing Anne Marie Harrison, a woman involved with Washington's police chief character in a complex thriller plot, Sanaa showed she could hold her own alongside one of cinema's most respected actors. Working with Denzel Washington was both exhilarating and intimidating. Washington, known for his intensity and high standards, pushed Sanaa to deliver her best work. Their scenes together crackled with tension and chemistry, and critics noted Sanaa's ability to match Washington's powerful presence. The film was a commercial success, grossing over $55 million domestically, and further elevated Sanaa's profile. She followed this with Alien vs. Predator, 2004, a big-budget science fiction film that offered a different kind of challenge. As Alexa Woods, an environmental technician and guide leading an expedition, Sanaa played an action-oriented role that required physical stamina and the ability to convey fear, determination, and resourcefulness. While the film received mixed reviews, Sanaa's performance was generally praised, and the role demonstrated her versatility. Yet even as Sanaa diversified her filmography, she found that the industry's perception of her remained largely fixed. Casting directors still saw her primarily as a romantic leading lady. Scripts sent to her agent overwhelmingly featured romantic storylines. Breaking free of this typecasting proved extraordinarily difficult, a frustration Sanaa has discussed in interviews with candor and occasional bitterness. The fundamental issue was one facing many talented black actresses: Hollywood's limited imagination regarding what kinds of stories black women could tell and what kinds of roles they could play. White actresses with similar credits might be offered diverse roles across multiple genres. For Sanaa and her peers, opportunities remained constrained by industry assumptions about what black audiences wanted to see and what white audiences would accept. Throughout her career, Sanaa Lathan has maintained fierce privacy regarding her personal life, particularly her romantic relationships. This privacy has been both protective and costly. In an industry that often demands personal revelation as the price of publicity, Sanaa's reticence has sometimes been interpreted as aloofness or unfriendliness. Her romantic life has been subject to constant speculation and tabloid attention. Relationships with various high-profile men, including fellow actors and athletes, have been rumored, reported, and dissected without Sanaa's confirmation or participation. She has rarely discussed her dating life publicly, preferring to keep this aspect of her existence separate from her professional persona. This privacy stems partly from painful experiences earlier in her career, when relationships became public fodder and her personal life overshadowed professional accomplishments. Sanaa has spoken about the particular scrutiny faced by Black actresses regarding their romantic choices, whether they date Black men or white men, whether they're single or coupled, whether they have children or remain childless. Every choice becomes freighted with cultural and political meaning that white actresses typically escape. At 54, Sanaa remains unmarried and has no children, choices that have generated endless commentary and speculation. Some have suggested she's too selective, too focused on career, unable to maintain relationships. Others have praised her independence and refusal to conform to traditional expectations of women and motherhood. Sanaa herself has offered little explanation, noting only that her life has unfolded according to its own logic, not societal scripts. The absence of a long-term partnership and children has sometimes been a source of sadness, particularly as she's aged and watched peers marry and start families. She has hinted in interviews at relationships that didn't work out, at the difficulty of maintaining intimacy while pursuing demanding career goals, at the particular challenges of dating in Hollywood where egos, ambition, and public scrutiny complicate even simple connection. Against this backdrop of professional success mixed with typecasting frustration and personal privacy, Sanaa Lathan received devastating news in 2024, a cancer diagnosis. The specific type of malignancy has not been publicly disclosed, consistent with Sanaa's approach to personal privacy. But her decision to share even limited information about her diagnosis represents a significant departure from her typical reticence. The diagnosis came following routine medical screening, which caught the cancer at an early stage. This early detection proved crucial, offering treatment options and prognosis significantly better than would have been possible with later-stage diagnosis. Sanaa has emphasized this point in her limited public comments, hoping to encourage others, particularly women and people of color, to maintain regular medical checkups and take potential symptoms seriously. Faced with cancer, Sanaa made the immediate decision to pursue surgical intervention rather than chemotherapy. This choice reflected both medical recommendations based on her specific diagnosis and personal preferences about treatment approaches. Surgery offered the possibility of removing the malignancy entirely, avoiding the systemic effects and side effects associated with chemotherapy. The operation was major, requiring significant recovery time and carrying its own risks. Sanaa approached the surgery with characteristic determination, preparing herself physically and emotionally for the procedure and its aftermath. She assembled a team of top medical professionals, consulted with multiple specialists, and made arrangements to take time away from work, a luxury not all cancer patients possess, but one Sanaa's career success made possible. The surgery was successful in removing the cancerous tissue, a relief that Sanaa and her medical team celebrated cautiously. However, the recovery proved more complicated than anticipated. Upon returning to Los Angeles following the procedure, Sanaa experienced symptoms that caused concern, discomfort that worsened throughout the day, pain that seemed disproportionate to expected post-surgical experience. These symptoms, which Sanaa described as quite a strange experience, necessitated additional medical investigation. A routine endoscopy revealed complications that, while not life-threatening, required intervention and extended her recovery period. The experience was frightening and frustrating for someone accustomed to controlling her circumstances and maintaining her privacy. Being vulnerable, dependent on medical professionals, unable to manage her condition through willpower alone was humbling and difficult. Cancer recovery is never simply a physical process. It involves profound emotional and psychological work as well. For Sanaa, the experience of diagnosis, surgery, complications, and recovery forced confrontation with mortality, vulnerability, and the limitations of control that she'd spent decades successfully managing. The physical recovery was arduous. Post-surgical healing, managing pain, dealing with the fatigue and weakness that follow major operations, all tested Sanaa's patience and resilience. She had to accept help from friends and family members, allowing them into aspects of her life she typically kept private. This enforced intimacy and dependence, while necessary, challenged her fierce independence. Emotionally, the cancer diagnosis prompted deep reflection on her life, choices, and priorities. Facing mortality at 54 forced Sanaa to consider what mattered most, what she still hoped to accomplish, what regrets she carried. In interviews following her recovery, she has spoken about gaining new perspective on the industry pressures and professional disappointments that once seemed so important. Cancer, she noted, clarifies what's truly significant and what's merely noise. The decision to speak publicly about her diagnosis, even in limited terms, represented a significant shift for someone so private. Sanaa explained that her motivation was partly to raise awareness about early detection and partly to acknowledge that her recovery had been aided by resources, excellent medical care, ability to take time off work, support systems, not available to everyone. She wanted to use her experience to potentially help others, while maintaining appropriate boundaries around personal medical details. The cancer experience has influenced Sanaa's approach to her career and the roles she's willing to accept. In recent interviews, she's spoken more openly about her frustration with industry typecasting, her desire for roles that challenge and stretch her, and her impatience with projects that don't serve some larger purpose beyond entertainment or paycheck. This new perspective has manifested in several ways. Sanaa has become more selective about projects, turning down roles that feel redundant or uninspiring even when they offer substantial compensation. She's pursued independent films and smaller projects that provide creative satisfaction even if they don't enhance her commercial profile. And she's become more outspoken about industry inequities, particularly the limited opportunities for Black actresses and the way Hollywood's racism and ageism compound to marginalize talented performers. Recent projects have reflected these shifting priorities. Sanaa has taken television roles in series that allow for character development over multiple episodes, finding satisfaction in the sustained exploration of complex characters. She's worked with emerging Black directors and writers, using her established status to help launch careers and tell stories that might otherwise struggle for financing and distribution. She's also become more involved in producing, recognizing that real power in the industry comes from controlling content creation, rather than simply serving others' visions. Through producing, Sanaa can champion projects that reflect her values and create opportunities for other Black actresses facing the same limitations she's experienced throughout her career. Sanaa Lathan's experience with cancer has occurred against the broader challenge of aging in an industry notoriously hostile to women, particularly women of color, as they age. Hollywood sexism and ageism are well documented. Actresses in their 50s find opportunities declining dramatically, even as their male counterparts continue landing leading roles in romantic parts. For Black actresses, this challenge is compounded by the industry's already limited vision of what roles they can play. If opportunities are scarce for young Black actresses, they become nearly non-existent for older Black actresses who aren't willing to accept stereotypical mother or grandmother roles. Sanaa has spoken about watching opportunities dry up as she's aged, about facing competition from younger actresses for the same limited pool of quality roles, about the frustration of possessing more skill and experience than ever while finding fewer outlets for that talent. The pressure to maintain youthful appearance is intense, particularly for actresses known for their beauty. Sanaa has been open about the temptation of cosmetic procedures and the industry pressure to pursue them. She's also been candid about her own relationship with aging, the desire to look good balanced against acceptance of natural processes, the awareness that fighting aging too aggressively can result in an artificial, strange appearance. Her cancer diagnosis added another dimension to these considerations. Treatment and recovery affected her appearance in ways that required adjustment. Weight fluctuations, changes in skin and hair texture, the visible effects of stress and illness, all challenged her self-image and required work to accept. The vanity that's often dismissed as superficial becomes more complex when one's appearance is literally part of one's profession and marketability. As Sanaa Lathan continues her recovery and reassesses her career trajectory, considerations of legacy have become more prominent. While she remains active and ambitious, the cancer diagnosis forced acknowledgement of mortality and the finite nature of time and opportunity. Sanaa's legacy extends beyond her individual filmography, though films like Love and Basketball, Brown Sugar, and Out of Time remain culturally significant, particularly for Black audiences who found in them reflections of their own experiences and aspirations. Her broader impact has been demonstrating that Black actresses could carry films, that stories centered on Black romance and ambition could achieve commercial success, that audiences craved the kinds of nuanced, authentic representations of Black life that Hollywood so rarely provided. For younger Black actresses navigating the industry, Sanaa represents both achievement and cautionary tale. Her success demonstrates possibility, that talent, training, persistence, and selectivity can lead to meaningful career and cultural impact. But her struggles with typecasting, with the limited opportunities available despite talent and success, with the compounding effects of racism and sexism and ageism, reveal the systemic barriers that individual achievement cannot overcome. Sanaa has become more involved in mentoring, sharing hard-won wisdom with emerging artists. She's candid about industry realities, while remaining encouraging about possibilities for change. She emphasizes the importance of training, of building craft skills that will sustain careers across changing trends. She speaks honestly about the psychological toll of rejection and marginalization, validating the struggles young Black actresses face while encouraging resilience. She continues to advocate for early cancer detection, particularly within communities of color, where healthcare disparities mean later diagnoses and worse outcomes. Her willingness to speak about her experience, even while maintaining privacy about specific details, has generated media attention and conversation about cancer awareness. Medical professionals have praised her advocacy, noting that when public figures share their cancer experiences, screening rates often increase among their fan demographics. Professionally, Sanaa is pursuing projects that matter to her rather than simply accepting available work. She's collaborating with Black filmmakers on stories that explore Black experiences with complexity and nuance. She's using her platform to advocate for greater diversity in Hollywood, both in front of and behind the camera. And she's preparing for the next phase of her career, recognizing that roles available to her are changing, but determined to find meaningful work nonetheless. Personally, Sanaa speaks of greater peace and acceptance than at earlier points in her life. The constant striving, the anxiety about career trajectory, the disappointment over limited opportunities, while still present, carry less weight than before. Cancer clarified what truly matters: health, meaningful relationships, work that serves purposes beyond ego or paycheck, living authentically rather than according to others' expectations. Number 14. Sanaa Lathan's journey from Yale-trained actress to romantic leading lady to cancer survivor reassessing her life and career embodies both individual resilience and broader systemic challenges. Her talent has never been in question. Her beauty and charisma have always been evident. Her training and dedication have been consistent throughout her career. Yet these qualities, while necessary, proved insufficient to overcome the combined barriers of racism, sexism, and ageism that structure Hollywood and limit opportunities for Black actresses. Her cancer diagnosis and recovery add another dimension to this already complex narrative. Facing mortality at 54, still vital and ambitious, forced Sanaa to confront questions about meaning, legacy, and how to spend whatever time remains. Her choice to speak publicly about her diagnosis, to use her experience to promote early detection and awareness, reflects the same grace and consideration for others that have characterized her approach to career challenges. As she continues to work, to heal, to advocate, and to live, Sanaa Lathan represents something valuable, an example of how to navigate extraordinary challenges, both systemic and personal, with dignity, determination, and refusal to surrender to bitterness or despair. The romantic roles that defined much of her career showed audiences images of Black love and Black aspiration. Her current advocacy and openness offer something equally important, a model of facing life's hardest challenges with grace, of using platform and privilege to help others, of continuing to find purpose and meaning even when circumstances seem designed to defeat spirit. Sanaa's story is far from over. Cancer-free and working again, she has many chapters yet to write, many roles yet to play, many contributions yet to make. But the experiences of recent years, the diagnosis, the surgery, the complications, the recovery, the reflection, have already shaped her legacy in profound ways. She stands as testament to resilience, to the possibility of finding meaning in suffering, and to the power of sharing our struggles in ways that might ease others' paths. In an industry that too often reduces Black women to stereotypes, that marginalizes them as they age, that values their beauty but dismisses their talent and complexity, Sanaa Lathan has carved out a career of significance and impact. Her battle with cancer and her graceful approach to recovery add new dimensions to an already rich narrative. Vulnerability alongside strength, mortality alongside vitality, fear alongside courage. These contradictions make her more human, more relatable, more valuable as both artist and advocate. The radiant smile that graced so many romantic films, that became almost a trademark, now carries additional meaning. Proof that grace under pressure is possible, that maintaining joy and purpose despite life's challenges is achievable, that sharing our struggles can serve others even as we heal ourselves. Sanaa Lathan continues to inspire, not despite her challenges, but through her honest, dignified navigation of them.